Well, good afternoon, class. Hope that you guys are warm. Here it's rainy and cold in Roanoke, Virginia, and it's not really a pleasant day, but I hope wherever you might be that the weather may be a little bit better. You can enjoy it a little bit more than we can here. But did want to take a few moments and just to kind of talk a little bit about last week, or the discussion board number 2. One of the things that I think is important that we realize, that especially as we're all in master's levels work, is the importance of properly documenting your sources. Some of you are failing to properly footnote your sources, and it's just important that you realize any time that you use information, an idea, or even quote a particular source, that you cite that source in a footnote. Here for the discussion boards, we are using footnotes, and so it's imperative that not only you cite your sources properly, but you know how to cite the source in a form that is consistent with the style manual. And the importance of this is just the stress on plagiarism. When we use ideas or information that is not our own, and we put that into something that we write, that is called plagiarism. And this has really become a point of emphasis for the Divinity School. We had a faculty meeting last week, and this was one of the items that was brought up and really talked about at great length. And so you need to understand that this is of urgent importance, that you make sure that you cite your sources in a footnote right there in the content of the discussion board, whether it be a reply or your original threads. So let's pay specific attention to this for the weeks to follow. This is very important. The last thing that I want to have to do is to create an incident report because one of the students is failing to properly cite their sources and thus are committing plagiarism. So please make sure you take note of that. The discussion boards, by the way, are graded, and so they're up. I saw the quiz grades. Some did well, some not so well. Hopefully that now that you have one of the quizzes under your belt, you'll have a better understanding of what the quizzes will be asking. And again, I think that's important, just to become very familiar with the information that is in the reading, so that you can answer the questions that you know right off the bat, but then have ample time to go back and find perhaps an answer that you may not have known right off the bat, but you'll be able to find it because you're familiar with the material. So just keep studying. I think that you will continue to improve and do a lot better as the weeks go on. And just remember, again, I know that I say this every week, but I really want you guys to do the best possible, do as well as you can, really. And so a big part of you being able to do the best and get the best possible grade is just simply answering each part of the question that you're answering. Sometimes students do a great job of answering maybe the bulk of the question, but fail to answer one or two parts. Maybe they're at the bottom. Also remember to answer the parts of the question with as much detail that is specific to that question as possible. For example, this past week with the dates for the life, ministry, and death of Jesus, then the birth, there were some critical pieces of data that were listed in the book that help us establish those dates outside of the New Testament. For example, the 15th year of Tiberius' rule, that helps us establish a date. The date of the death of Herod and the lunar eclipse that was related to that specific date. Those are all pieces of data that help us establish these specific dates, as well as the material or the data relative to Nisan 14 falling on a Thursday of the year of AD 33. That really helps nail down AD 33 as the most likely date of Jesus' crucifixion. So that's just an example, but just making sure you give all the details that you can. Well, this week, no quiz, so a little bit of a breather, and the questions that you have for your discussion board, I would think are pretty straightforward, and so just make sure that you do a good job of answering each one of those. For example, just make sure that with the synoptic gospel question that you define what the synoptic problem refers to, what exactly does that mean, and then move on to answering the questions about the various differences and similarities that are found within the synoptic gospels. So just make sure that you answer that thoroughly. Also, then the next one really has to do with the various hypotheses for the synoptic problem. In other words, the relationships between the three Gospels and their order in which they were written and how they're listed in the New Testament. So each one is listed there. There's several that you have to define. So just make sure that you define each one of those thoroughly, making sure that I realize that I know that you know what exactly that particular theory means. And so that's, again, a pretty straightforward question. But make sure you answer the last question, meaning which one do you think best provides a solution to the problem. And then the last one, maybe you have to do a little bit digging, but all the answers are right there in the text, and it refers to really just what exactly is form criticism, what exactly is source criticism, and what exactly is redaction criticism, and how are they different, and then what is the one that you think is most useful to the synoptic problem. And all of them have their I guess advantages for the synoptic problem, but one is specifically more useful than the others in terms of solving the synoptic problem or helping us to better come up with a resolution to the problem. So just make sure you answer those thoroughly. Again, I know that we're a couple weeks in, and it may seem still kind of fresh, but again, the term is going to fly by. And so make sure that you've begun the process of research for your paper. I know that you're probably going to get tired of me saying this, but that paper is going to sneak up on you much more quickly than you could ever imagine. So make sure you begin doing the initial research. Make sure you get 5 really good, solid scholarly resources. Make sure you get a couple other ones that will help you with the point of emphasis, whatever figure or ideology or whatever that you want to focus on. That will really help provide some depth to your research paper. And then again, it's very important that you go to the style manual and look at what are the proper ways to cite various kinds of sources, not only in footnotes, but for the paper it will be important that you know and understand the proper form for the bibliography, because those two forms are different. So look at those. It'll take a little bit of time, but trust me, it is worth your while. Also, make sure you check out the proper title page and maybe some of the other form issues that will be involved in the paper. Well, I hope that you guys have a great week. Make sure that you study hard. I know that you guys are working hard, and I see some great improvement by many of you. So just continue to improve, continue to do your best in using critical thinking and evaluating the students' posts and your replies, and just keep working hard. You guys are doing well. I know it may seem hard and it's a struggle, but just make sure you carve out time to spend reading, studying, and writing for each week's discussion boards. And again, I'm always available if you have questions or whatever may come up. So shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to help in any way that I can. So you guys have a great week, and look forward to next week's discussion boards.